So we just got back from our first vacation with our newborn baby Olivia, where we traveled all the way to Maui for a Hawaiian vacation. And this was a bit stressful and we learned a ton in the process. And so we want to make this video for you guys to walk you through step-by-step process on what you need to know to travel by airplane with your newborn baby. Let's get into it.
What's up YouTube? Trevi from the Adventure Buddies, the modern travel family, bringing you another video filled with tips, tricks, and inspiration to make sure you maximize your next family adventure, like we always do here at the Adventure Buddies.
So first and foremost, having a new baby can ultimately be expensive, but flying on an airplane doesn't have to be. Did you know if your infant is under 2 years old, they can actually fly for free, depending on the airline? But most airlines agree that under 2 years old, as long as the baby sits on your lap, they can't have their own seat. Those infants fly for free. Now with newborn babies comes a lot of equipment, travel strollers, diaper bags, you name it, you're carrying a lot more luggage. If you want to know how you can actually get through TSA with your baby and pack everything in your carry-on and not have to check a bag, click the link above here for that specific video. But remember, you can also save a ton of space by gate checking your items for free. If you want the ultimate guide to how to gate check your items, click the link above here for that specific video, because you're not going to want to pay the additional fees, but you're still going to want to have all the baby stuff you need at your final destination. Next, we need to talk about your actual ticket. So if you are flying with an infant in your lap, it needs to actually say that on your boarding pass. So quick note that if it doesn't, you need to go to the ticket counter to make sure they correct that right away, or you're gonna run into some issues at TSA. Typically though, if it does not see that, this is gonna require you to provide some sort of proof that the child is yours. So that's typically a birth certificate and or passport. So it's always good to have on hand either one of those documents in case you get asked. So for this particular example, when we flew to Maui, we didn't have this on our ticket, went to the ticket counter and had to provide proof that Olivia was ours, and by doing so, we showed her passport. So if you want to know more about how to get your baby a passport, click the link above here for those specific instructions. So now that we've gotten our ticket, we got through TSA, now we're at the gate with our gate check bag. The next step is, when do you actually board the plane? What am I talking about? Well, with newborns or somebody under 2 years old, you actually get the luxury of boarding first if you choose. One, this provides you ample amount of time to get things settled, get your situation set up for the ideal flight, or you can board whenever you want to. So maybe you have a fussy baby and you don't want to bring he or her on till the end, but this is your choice. So make sure you have that conscious decision. Am I boarding first or am I boarding last? Because this could determine how comfortable your flight is. So now let's talk about the inevitable. Diaper changes, when do you do it, how do you do it, etc. So we highly recommend you change your kid's diaper right before you get on the plane, so they start off with a fresh, clean diaper, and that ultimately should make sure that the frequency of diaper changes is as less frequent as possible. However, diaper changes happen and happen quite commonly. So typically, if you are in that newborn stage or they're small enough to sit in your lap, you can, if you're good enough, change in lap instead of going into the lavatory, which we're not a huge fan of because we don't think it's that cleanly and or there's tons of germs. If you want to learn more about how to keep germs away from your baby on the plane, click the subscribe button down below, because we're going to get into a ton more content around baby travels, and that's the topic that we're going to cover. So continuing on with diaper changes, that leads us to another tip. Make sure you pack an additional outfit for your baby, but also for yourself, because ultimately blowouts happen and there's nothing worse than having a messy blowout and you've got to be living with that, and or the person next to you has to sit next to you and you smell all fantastic. So make sure you pack a separate item for your baby, but also for yourself. So another tip for you, as we know that traveling alone is stressful, traveling with a newborn baby even more stressful, don't be afraid to let the flight crew know that this is your baby's first flight. Oftentimes they are extremely receptive to that. But what we found traveling with American Airlines is that they actually came up to us and gave our little Olivia her first flight log book that was signed with the miles from the captain of the plane itself. The captain also then gave her first set of wings that we will remember forever. So be sure to let the flight crew know that this is your baby's first flight, or that you're nervous with the baby, because you're gonna get that extra special attention that you're gonna appreciate down the line. Last and definitely not least, probably most important, is that sometime during the flight, typically during takeoff and landing, your baby is going to have trouble equalizing their ears and going to experience some discomfort. This is typically when your baby is going to be screaming hysterically and causing everyone around you to stop and stare at you. So how do you stop that? Well, typically you just need your baby to suck on something. So time your feedings for takeoff and landing so your baby can be super comfortable during their plane ride. So there you guys have it, a step-by-step guide on what you need to know for your baby's first airplane ride. So if you want more information, click that red subscribe button because we have a whole playlist on baby travels, tips, hacks, what you need to know, how do you learn from us so we can take the stress out of your upcoming travel. So I'm Matt from the Adventure Buddies. If you like this video, please consider giving us that big thumbs up. Again, hit that subscribe button for more travel tips and adventures. And most importantly, remember, life's an adventure. Who you going on it with?